was it at that time really the focus on education and then kind of became selling parts as well? Or was it kind of both at the same time?
Yeah, so I think when Rob approached me with the idea, the authorized installer network was always a part of what the business would look like. We knew that we wanted to be able to create a trusted network of technicians who could build these cars for people. And really that helps also establish trust with the manufacturers that like they trust us to distribute their parts and get them in the hands of knowledgeable technicians. And so in order to do that, there needed to be some aspect of training. Um, and then I think where I brought some like vision into the picture was just around the robustness of that training and what it needed to look like. And then the opportunity to also work with schools to build out talent pipelines to help build out a network of technicians starting out of their education journey through their VOTEC school or CTE program, whatever it is. And so training's always been a part of the vision of Legacy from the beginning, but as we've like moved more and more into supporting more shops, we realized how important it is in the journey of like pretty much everybody needs some level of training to be able to access the opportunity that electrification is going to provide in the automotive market. And so that's really where the journey starts for a lot of people, for sure.
Well, and I think you're totally right that you just there's a part where you also just have to get your hands dirty and learn this, and I think that's what makes your program so good, is it has that element with the training benches too. But we actually had Chris Hazel on, the CEO of Felton, back in December, and I'm obviously I have a 1987 Land Rover Defender 90 that I'm looking to convert to electric. So most of that episode was me just drooling over what their new kit is. And I've heard you guys are going to be the ones importing it. So very excited for that. But it was really interesting talking to him about how in the EU and the UK, the definition for what an EV tech has to do or what even a converted EV has to meet is actually pretty well fleshed out at this point.
Yeah.
And I know your team was kind of pushing for some of that here domestically and also kind of having some of those discussions at the most recent SEMA event in Las Vegas. Is there any kind of updates or anything you can also share about what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to find to be like those ideal recommendations for what a qualified EV tech would be?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were asking that, it also sparked a thought that I had earlier that I wanted to share when we were talking about the online program versus the in-person too. And a big strategy behind the reason the online program's built the way that it is so that we can cover the base level, like the fundamentals of what people need to know before they come in person and start getting to tinker in a hands-on environment. We don't want to preload too much of like what people need to know if we can accomplish it through the hands-on learning experiences when they come in. But we also want to make sure everybody starts at the same like level playing field when they come in for the hands-on. That way we can be as efficient as possible with everybody's time. So online, you get to learn about Ohm's law and Watt's law and efficiency of EVs, and even how like the type of tire you use affects range and what that looks like and how you estimate it. And so we go over a lot of that stuff in the online course, and it's pretty fundamental, like pretty basic, but it's important to have that covered before people come in. And then, on standards, we're definitely heavily involved in standards. A big reason that we started out in standards was because we're building training. We need to have a benchmark or a watermark for what it means to be a knowledgeable technician. And all my time in education, it's built around building training programs that meet standards. And so how do you build training programs if you don't have outcomes and if you don't have standards defined? And so before we even started developing our programs, we defined the outcomes. These are the standards that we want technicians who go through our course to be able to hit. And we spent a long time developing those standards. We came up with like 148. And we realized, wow, there's a ton of value in these standards. And this really needs to be communicated openly to the rest of the world so everybody else can say, yeah, these standards are good. Let's take these and let's say that's what it means to be a knowledgeable technician, and let's provide support for that and endorsement. That also means that other companies can go build programs to those same standards, and we welcome that. We want the best programs available for all technicians, but really what it does for the tech is it provides an opportunity to get like manufacturer endorsement and employer endorsement on the standards. So we've got more than 24 industry stakeholders endorsing those standards now that we developed for what it means to be a knowledgeable technician. We took them out of Legacy EV and we put them in a nonprofit called the Electric Vehicle Technician Education Council. We're actually going to be switching names here shortly, likely to the Electric Vehicle Standards Council, because that council has a 12-member board, and that board oversees all the standards that we amend and ratify. And that board has an interest in also setting standards for aftermarket battery technology, for repowers. And the goal with this organization is not to create some like big government agency that tells people what they should and shouldn't do with their EVs. It's more to provide a guiding light for self-regulation of, okay, we want to make sure that we're all doing this the best and safest way possible. And as a shop owner, like that's what I would want. I would want to know, what is the standard? What's the right way to do it? And so we want to give that roadmap to people. We're not enforcing it. We're not like putting teeth in it and saying, yeah, to get XYZ, you have to meet these standards. It's just, here's the standards of what the best minds in the industry think we should all be doing, and let's provide this info out there for self-regulation purposes. And that's where we're at today with it. It's been a really fun group to be a part of. We've got everybody from Chris Hazel from Felton to Kirk Miller from Hypercraft, to APP EV, to Amper EV, to Revolt, to Torque Trends, you name it, Kindred Motorworks. We've got a really wide and broad group that represents a lot of different stakeholders. Insurance industry is on it. So yeah, it's cool to be able to have everybody come together and have this mind melt where we can come up with these standards and make sure that we're trying to guide the industry in the right direction from like a cohesive and unified